Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Community Conversations, your bi-weekly dose of LGBTQ plus news, current affairs, interviews, and insights brought to you by Portsmouth Pride. I'm Georgia. I'm your host, and I am the marketing lead here at Portsmouth Pride. Chantel is here in the background. Shan, do you want to come and say hi?
Hi.
So Chantel's here producing.
And bye.
And bye. Goodbye, Shan. So Shan's here producing the show. If you've got any comments, any questions, any thoughts or feelings, make sure you drop them into the comments below. Chantel will then be able to share them with us, and we will be able to read them out, get your questions answered. So this evening we are joined by Sab Samuel, aka Ada HD, aka Drag Story Hour UK. Sab has had a really interesting journey, being part of the LGBTQ plus community himself. He has been involved and experienced lots and lots of issues that a lot of us do face. However, it's been a little bit more than that, and that's what we're kind of going to discuss this evening. So Sab is joining us from Cardiff in South Wales, but also runs Drag Story Hour UK, which is all over the country. Sab had an event that we're going to discuss that was cancelled, but things have gone full circle, so make sure you stick around for the end, because this isn't just a moany one. Things have got positive as well. So no further ado, Sab, let's get you in and have a chat.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, hello, my lovely. How are you doing?
I'm doing fab. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, and for giving us your time, as we know it's very valuable, and we know you're very busy doing all sorts of exciting things, writing books and reading stories and spreading happiness. So before we get into this whole palaver that's been going on, or that had been going on, tell us, how did you get into drag? How did you start?
So my actual first ever experience dressing up in drag is when I was 15 years old at my all-boys school play. I was horrendously bullied at school. Before the play, I was always that slightly camp. I say slightly, but I was always bullied, if I'm honest, at school. I've never not known a moment when I was at school where I felt like I was safe, if I'm honest. There was a moment where, we're doing a school play. Most school plays at all schools do Oliver. No, they didn't do Oliver. What they did do, however, is a written play by a local school teacher, where the villain, or in this case villainess, was a villainess. And I just went for it. Yeah, I thought I'd do it. Why not? And I just ignored anybody that might have said anything negative about it, and I went away and did it. And I think the moment that really shone through to me was the next day, after I'd actually put this villainess in front of all of the head teachers and all these tons of parents. There was a school kid who was actually they bullied me quite a bit. And they came up to me and they said to me, you dressed up in drag, didn't you? You dressed up as a woman for the school play, didn't you? And I was like, yes, I did. And they just look at me and they go, fair play. And I'll always remember that moment, because it was a moment that basically explained that just being yourself and in some ways fighting for what you think is right can sometimes literally just be all that is required to get people to understand that being different is okay. So yeah, the way that I was perceived at school after actually being in drag at my school play was completely changed, just because I was brave enough to just go and say, look, this is me.
And so did things kind of progress from there then? So obviously that was your first experience, your first time in drag, which seemed to, although having loads of negative experiences with school actually was a really positive one. How did things escalate from there to, like, from doing that to doing what you're doing now?
So, most people have this expectation that if you're a performer and you wanted to obviously be an actor, or you wanted to be an actress, or you wanted to be a dancer, or you wanted to be whatever you wanted to be. I wanted to be an astronaut, and when I say that, I literally mean that. My degree at first was going to be a degree in physics, astrophysics, and mathematics. I did change it in the end to a degree in mathematics and marketing, but yeah, I've got a degree in mathematics, and that expectation that I must have some sort of lack of brain cells just because I want to dress up is completely ridiculous, if I'm honest. Basically, from the age of 15 onwards, I knuckled down and did my studies, if I'm honest. I performed here and there as much as I could for as much fun as I could take. But yeah, I spent a very long time studying. It wasn't until I was 22, after my degree, that I kind of said, do you know what? I've studied all this hard work to become what I want to be, and I decided to not use my degree and go ahead and be a performer and read stories to children. Yeah, there we go. I ended up essentially at 22 years old saying, why not? I'm going to go and read stories to children. And so I did. And I haven't looked back since.
Amazing. So actually you almost had not necessarily a break, but you kind of gave it a rest, focused on your education, and then you said, that's it, I'm picking up the heels again. That's it, girl. I've got to get back out. I love that. I love that. Awesome. So that brings us on to, I suppose, in the journey that we seem to be taking through your life. Drag Queen Story Hour UK. So obviously you've picked your heels back up. You're ready to go and read stories to kids. Now, is this to do with the fact that you had such a terrible experience at school, and that you wanted to kind of spread some happiness to children, or was it that you just wanted to read stories to kids? Tell us about it.
So I get asked a lot, usually by haters. There's plenty of names that go about describing why these haters are haters. One is a trans radical extreme feminist, or trans exclusionary radical feminist. I'm just going to call them all haters and just stick with that. Haters always ask me the question why I need to do it in drag to teach people about LGBTQ. And the matter of the fact is that the drag itself isn't actually teaching about LGBTQ people. The drag is fun. It's dress up, it's fun, everybody loves a good dress up. As a kid, dressing up is fun. If you're a parent, you'll know that you have to dress up because that's what happens when you are a parent as well. Dress up is just, drag has derived from Shakespearean times, but in terms of the UK, it's based off female empowerment. And when it comes down to Drag Queen Story Hour UK, the education bit about teaching people to accept that you're different isn't about the fact that the person is dressed up. It's actually about the specific stories being read. The specific stories that I read aren't just about LGBTQ people either. I have what I call the 5 flavors of acceptance. It's orientation, gender, disability, race, and age. And within those 5 flavors, I make sure that I read stories that touch on all of those topics. I remember when I was a very little kid in the same school that I did the school play, and I was being bullied by this one stupid bully. And anybody who's a bully usually has a lack of intelligence, I shall say. And this one bully just came up and said, "You're quite effeminate." And to me, the word effeminate was not only a big word for this person, but a bit more of an intellectual word. And I kind of sat there, and I took it on board, and I said, oh, well, effeminate, maybe I am effeminate. And I remember this one specific moment, this hallway, this long hallway, and I was at the beginning of the hallway, and I said to myself, oh, maybe I am effeminate. And it took me the length of me to get to the end of the hallway to go into complete self-loathing, to say, well, I'm definitely not gay. And it's that moment there, that moment where I became self-loathing. I spent 5 years of my life telling myself that my campness was something to be ashamed of, and it's not. My femininity is something to be ashamed of, and it's not. And it's this very story time experience that I do, where I read stories to children about not just accepting others who are different, but accepting yourself for being different too. If I had been read a story telling me to accept myself for being different, I wouldn't have gone through 5 years of self-loathing, because that's what I thought I should be ashamed of. Yeah.
My goodness. And you're so right. It's about education. It's about representation. And when we see people who look like us, who act like us, who love like us, all of a sudden we understand that actually it's normal, right? And just by seeing those things that kind of seem nothing to some people actually make such a massive impact. Which is why what you're doing is so incredible. Now, there are so many positive things that we can say about all the amazing messages that you're putting out there, and I love it. And as everyone can tell, I'm sure you can tell at home, I am buzzing to be able to talk to Sab, because this is such a positive project that he's rolling out. Now, it hasn't come without its challenges. It hasn't come without some really major setbacks. So Sab, tell us about what happened in Leeds and the journey around that, because that was kind of pivotal in a way for your career, but also it was a massive setback really for equal rights at the same time in the UK.
So it was pivotal for my career. The only reason it was pivotal, it was because it was the first ever story time that got cancelled because of hate. The first one. And that was pivotal, because I had to, although I some way planned for it, I had to go into action mode. And you know, I've never really considered myself an activist, which is weird for me to say now, because there was a moment where I was just sat on my sofa and said to myself, darn right, am I an activist? Absolutely. And it was at that moment that I realized, reading stories to children about accepting yourself, I don't really deem fully a big activist job. I mean, I'm reading stories, but to have to go full-fledged, well, business person really, and kind of sit there and discuss, you know, I've had multiple video meetings with a large group of councillors at Leeds Council. I've sat down with multiple different other organisations on how to move forward. And you said, you know, this was a bit of a setback for the LGBT community of the country, which I've had that said to me before, and it was, I was a little bit like I am now. The idea that that actually happened is just, I can't believe it. I still can't believe it even happened. But as you did say at the beginning, things have gone forward, because my story time with Leeds Libraries, which was cancelled, is happening again. It's actually happening, and it's happening this Saturday at 2 o'clock. So yeah, it's gone full-fledged, back round to where we started. Things are being amended, and the exact same story time that you were getting in the summer with me, that was cancelled, is happening on Saturday.
So that is really good news. So for those of you who don't know, Sab, or I suppose ADHD was booked to do a drag story hour UK at Leeds Library. Now, anti-gay, anti-trans, TERF movements, the haters got on this, and it was in particular, which was, I think this was quite an interesting point, because we do think, I think internally as part of the LGBTQ plus community, but also people, allies outside of the community, kind of do think that this kind of, it is just those guys who are, you know, that stereotypical, not very intelligent, not very accepting of anyone. But actually, this was a councillor within Leeds Council, which is something that I think is really worth picking up. And the fact that that played some influence, and that person has, you know, been voted in and represents constituents of that area, is really, really shocking and worrying. So how did you kind of overcome these issues? There was loads of press that went out, and obviously you mobilised, and I'm really glad you did, to kind of turn this around into a positive, to show, look, spread some light and some representation. So how did you overcome the issues with this councillor, she who shall not be named?
She who shall not be named. I know somebody else is also called she who shall not be named, but we won't name her. Yes, this councillor who, as you've said, we won't name. You want to know my honest truth on what I did when I found out it was a specific councillor? I completely ignored her. Absolutely ignored her. Didn't even send her an email. Nothing. Not at all. Nothing. Didn't tweet her. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the reason why is because, and my mother has always said this to me, my goodness, the wisdom of this one sentence, and it's to kill them with kindness. Kill them with kindness, which is a bit barbaric when I think about the word kill, but still, you know, when I got told, no, we're not going to go ahead with your story time, we've had complaints that you're not suitable in front of children, I just put on story time anyhow. Put it on, but only hosted it on the Drag Queen Story Hour UK social media. And I dedicated it to Leeds, and why Leeds LGBTQ plus community deserves a clap. Why it's such a great place to live in Leeds if you are LGBTQ plus. And I highlighted so many different reasons why, you know, there's so many great reasons to live in Leeds, and just one councillor ain't enough to counteract that.
Fab. Oh, fab. I love that. And that's so it. Finding the positive out of this complete storm of negativity. And I mean, when I'm saying negativity, Sab received death threats, was doxxed, had to involve the police because he feared for his own life. So it's not just, you know, a few comments here and there on social media. It got super serious, super quick. And it didn't, you know, it wasn't just a case of a few people. It got really big. So obviously, since then, things have gone full circle. Leeds have decided that actually it's a really good idea to host the Drag Story Hour UK, which is epic. It's going to be on this Saturday. And I suppose we'll visit you on social media, and all the information will be on there, Sam.
Yes, it is. If you wanted a little watch, it's the same story time that actually I would have been doing in the summer. And I'm making sure it is as well. Because that's what was meant to happen, you know. What was meant to happen is meant to happen. I think it just highlights as well that at the end of the day, love will always win. It's on Leeds Library's Facebook page, live streamed at 2 o'clock, and you can also go back and watch it if you aren't free at 2 o'clock on Saturday.
Fab. So this sounds really exciting. So anyone with little ones, definitely get on that. Now, you have diversified a little bit, haven't you? So not only are you doing Drag Story Hour UK, you are writing books. Tell us a little bit about your career as an author.
An author. I am an author. People ask me that I don't know off the street, or not like randomly, but like when you meet people, they go, "Oh, what do you do?" I just say, "Oh, I'm just an author," you know. I love that title, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, I'm an author. I've written a children's book. I've worked very, very closely with an illustrator as well. to get the illustration perfect as well. The book is called The Three Goats United. And it's not until I say it out loud that you can hear me shout the biggest movements that's happened this year. And I'll see if you can hear it. But a black, a brown, and a pink goat have to fight against the forces of evil of the big white wolf. It does exuberate Black Lives Matter, and that was intentional. But it also exuberates things like love wins, and without going into too much detail, it does briefly discuss, but not into as much detail as I'd like to, being actually autistic as an autistic person myself. But it just exuberates acceptance, modern family, and it is a take on the Billy Goat's graph.
Oh wow! Okay, awesome. So it's a Billy Goat's graph that is super on equality and the Black Lives Matter movement. So, what sort of age range are your books aimed at?
Do you know what? Every time that I get asked that question, what sort of age range is my story time as well? And I've got an age range. You know, I do direct it all between the ages of 0 to 12. You know, that's my age range, and I'll usually kind of cut and paste different parts of that age range into certain different things. This book, I read this book to one of my good friends. Looking for their true advice and opinion on it, and they're 33, I believe, and they loved it. So, I mean, who and what and how old do you need to be to enjoy my book? I would like to say that you don't have to be any age. You could be any age you'd like. But I'm pretty sure lots of younglings aged 2 to 8 would specifically enjoy this book, though.
I love that. I mean, you're never too old, are you? And has it been released already, or when's it due to be released if it hasn't?
So it's going to print very soon. I've done pre-orders as well for people with signed copies. It should. Oh, I just hope that, because with COVID stuff going on, things are being delayed. Things that I was planning to have done by a certain time were done. Well, actually, everything was done on time. I want to say that all the printing stuff, you know, all the mechanical side of printing books, it's going on delay. It looks like nothing more than a week, I don't think, but it's planned to be fully out and ready to go for a week on Saturday, Halloween, in fact.
Wow.
So yeah, you can, if anybody wants to get a lovely little Halloween present, or in this case, actually, I think it's best, a lovely little Christmas present, you can actually find it on the Drag Queen Story Hour UK shop, which I don't know if anybody wants to, feel free to kind of comment it so people can click on it, but it's www.dragqueenstoryhour.co.uk.
And Chantal will run that across the banner at the bottom, Sab, so not to worry about that. So obviously, fingers crossed for next Saturday, but if not, watch this space, definitely by Christmas. So what else are you working on? What's the future hold for Ada HD and Drag Story Hour UK?
Well, I mean, lots of the things that I'm doing, I've got lots of mini projects. Some things I won't really kind of go into too much detail, but I've got an app, a game app coming out, hopefully, being worked on at the moment. The series of books that I've got, they are a series. It's not just one book. I've actually written 14 of these books. So there's 13 others that I'm finalised to that are all going to be coming out. Hopefully about 2 a year, maybe 3, but we'll see. I've got, obviously I've got all my story time stuff, but I've actually been working with Arts Scotland and a third-party group actually to put on children's drag murder mysteries up in Scotland. So fun too. There's a lot that's going on. There's lots of mini. So, for example, for National Coming Out Day, I actually interviewed 12 different individuals across the UK about their coming out stories, and I did a little 35-minute special that you can actually catch now as well on Dragon Story Hour UK. And I think you can actually watch that special on Instagram, on Dragon Story Hour UK's Instagram tomorrow at 2. I think it's 2 o'clock. So you can catch that on the Instagram at 2 o'clock too. What projects have I got?
There's lots.
There you go. Yeah.
Gosh, so you've got lots and lots of things going on to keep you busy, regardless of a lockdown or not. Okay, so let's go to some questions from our viewers, because loads of you have been getting in touch with us throughout the week because you knew Sab was coming on, or you've popped them in the comments recently whilst you've been watching. So thank you, and thanks to everyone who's joined us. So here we've got one. This is a good one. Where's your favourite place to perform? So I suppose part of the country or venue?
Oh, where's my favourite place to perform? Where I wanted. Where anybody's favourite place to perform is where they feel welcome, you know. But if I had to have a specific place that I just I loved to visit, I'm going to be very non-specific, but in some ways quite specific too. Specifically libraries. If I'm perfectly honest, a library. You know, I've had lots of conversations over my career as a children's drag queen, but also during the pandemic with librarians. Librarians, and I kid you not, the stereotype of a librarian being boring is definitely not the case. Librarians are an absolute bull to have a chat with over the phone. All of them are just fab. And when you do perform, when you read stories in a library, it's just that extra bit amazing. I remember when I was a kid, I went to a library for a story time. It was the most boring thing ever. It was. I had to cross my legs and fingers on lips because it's a library and you have to be quiet. No, it was horrible. But then I went to a pantomime and I loved it. Oh my goodness me, love a good pantomime. I stood up as a kid and I was like, yeah, shouting, boo, hiss. Oh no, he isn't. It was great. Loved it. I think it's just a fab way to kind of take pantomime and a library story time and throw them together. So yes, it has to be a library because it just makes it that extra bit special. And libraries are not a dying breed, which is actually what lots of librarians have said to me. Lots of librarians are worried that libraries are going out of trend, and I don't think they should be, and I don't think they will. Libraries will just be expanding on what they do, and on that expansion of what they do would be involving things like Drag Queen Story Hour UK.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more. And actually, you're right. To be surrounded by books whilst reading a story, I couldn't think of anything more magical. And then to see wonderful, smiling, happy faces as well. I mean, winner, right? So, talking of stories, you obviously read a lot of children's books. What is your favourite children's book? And you're not allowed to say one of your own. You're not allowed to say one of your own. But I bet you've got a favourite because you are so well versed.
Right here, you can't see right now, but right here, I've got. There we go. Right, so
looking through the library.
Oh, right, my favourite book. Now I've got different types of favourites. If I'm honest, I've got my favourite book to read to people, especially to kids. My favourite book to read because it's just hilarious. It's called "I Need a New Bum." I don't know if it's
Oh wow!
If it's flip for you, but it's just bum and poo humour. It's just so ridiculous, but it's funny. It's just so funny, and you've got these kids just going, just laughing their heads off. It's just hilarious to read to kids. So there's that one.
Who's that by, Sab? Who's that by?
Oh, yeah, I Need a New Bum. It's by Dawn Macmillan and Ross Kinnaird. I'll put that up there. Blah 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 blah. Can you see it? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Great. Thanks.
So that's it. I Need a New Bum. It's really funny to read to kids. One of my more favourite ones actually is Perfectly Norman, about a young kid called Norman who has always been perfectly normal, and he suddenly grows a pair of fabulous set of wings, and he is scared of what people might think. In fact, he hides his wings from his parents under this big yellow coat. He gets very upset because his wings, you know, he can't spread his wings out, and he's really kind of like isolated because he's obviously hiding his wings, and he realizes that he's upset and miserable because of the coat and not because of the wings. And then it goes from that. I won't ruin the spoiling of that ending of that book, because I'm actually going to be reading this book for Leeds Libraries on Saturday. So this is one of the books I'm reading, and this is by Tom Percival. So that's a really what my actual I would say my favourite book, give or take. But I've got so many favourite books to choose from. This is only one of them.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. And okay, somebody's asked for, which you've given us a few, because obviously that's got an inclusive kind of storyline. But have you got any other recommendations for sort of more inclusive children's books, LGBTQ plus inclusive storybooks? What's your sort of top one, or your apart from the ones we've discussed? Or
so there's so many. I mean, you're asking me a difficult question.
Okay, go on. Top one.
So many
one
books.
Or three.
I can recommend a few. I put them all right next to me, actually. One is this one. I always make a joke that there's no title, so it's on the outside, so you can probably guess that it's blue on the inside, and then you realise that it's not, and that's why you should never judge a book by its cover. It's called Red, ironically. Red, A Crayon's Story. And it's about a crayon. Let's see if you can see it. A crayon who has red wrapping, but is actually blue on the inside. And really fab book. I can recommend that one. That one is by Michael Hall. It is, I believe. Yes, Michael Hall. It's by Michael Hall. Red, A Crayon Story. That's really good. Another one that I want to actually highlight. Lots of people know this one. It's very well known. It's called Guess How Much I Love You. It's by Sam McBratney and Anita Duran. Believe it or not, lots of people are probably, you know, if they're watching and they know the book, they'll probably think, I didn't know that was an LGBT exclusive book. And what you don't realise is that this book has been around for years. 1993, I think it is. 1995. No, 1994, in between those two. It's 1994, and it was never written intentionally to discuss LGBT people. That's not the point. However, it's about two male hairs just telling each other they love each other. And you can take that as you wish, whether it's a single father with one kid, or it's two male hairs telling they love each other, whether they're best friends or partners. It doesn't matter. It took me forever to realize it. I mean, literally, I had that book read to me as a kid by my mother. I've got a massive version of it that I got when I was 1 year old. I don't have it. My mother has it at her house. But yeah, this book is just fab. And it's really clever in the way it kind of discusses you can love somebody, and it's, you know, kind of combats that stereotype that men can't love. And I think that's lovely too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's so clear. Thank you for those recommendations, Sab, because we knew if anyone was going to have recommendations, it would be you. Thank you so much for those. And I think it's quite clear to everyone at home the passion and the enthusiasm that Sab has, and also the knowledge of equality and the education and representation that he represents, particularly when he's performing as ADHD. So Sab, thank you so much for joining us. We'll make sure that, I think it's gone through on the bottom, but remember, if you want to visit Drag Story Hour UK, remember Saturday on Leeds Libraries, ADHD will be performing. So yes, thank you so much for your time, Sab. Thank you for being a part of Community Conversations this week, and we wish you all the best of luck moving forward.
Thank you so much. And I just want to also highlight, I tried to put my pronouns, because it's pronouns day. I love it.
It is.
I tried to put my pronouns in the bottom, but I didn't have enough text to put them in. And I realized we didn't do the whole pronouns thing. Goodness me, we're bad. Yes, I just want to say, you know, pronouns are important. whether or not they're important to you or not, they're important to others, and sometimes it makes sense to take others into account and respect others' pronouns.
Oh my gosh, certainly. Thank you, Sab. We actually put a post out this morning for International Pronouns Day. The Mads, our inclusivity and diversity officer, had stumbled across, it was MTV, but actually was really, really nicely, clearly explained the importance of pronouns, what they mean, and all different types of pronouns. So if you want to kind of learn more about that, then check that post out. It will be on our pages and on our platform. So Sab, thank you so, so much. Good luck for Saturday. Not that you need it. You will kill it, girl. And we will see you very soon. Thank you, Sab. Take care.
No worries. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. What an incredible guy. I hope you guys enjoyed that and really kind of understood Sab's story. Shan, are you there?
Hi.
Hi. So
I'm extremely red under this light.
yeah, God, get your shine on, girl. So Sab was awesome, wasn't he? What a nice guy. Really interesting story and journey. And so many challenges that he's overcome, yet still such a chipper, positive chap, right?
Yeah, I think it's a really important story to share with everyone, really, because so many times you can have backlash or you can have negative things said to you, and it would be so easy to give up or to hide away. But the only way that we're ever going to move forward is if we have amazing people like Sab pushing the boundaries and fighting for us to have these kind of amazing events to encourage more inclusivity and representation.
For sure. I completely, Shan. And I mean, we know how important it is. You always tell me about the first time you went to Pride, and actually it's the first time you saw people who looked like you and loved like you, and actually the importance of that now more than ever, I think is super significant. So yeah, massive thank you for Sab.
I think children are I don't know, from my experience with children, it's not really an issue for them. And it's something that I feel like we probably learn, not necessarily us, but as you learn as you go along through life. So if you kind of nip it in the bud and you continue that positivity at a young age, I think it can really have like a massive effect as people get older. And there are new generations. You can see through the generations how much better it is now, but we've still got a long way to go. But it's just such an amazing way to tackle that when you're younger as well. So
definitely. And you know, the more positivity, the more happiness, the better, in our opinion, right, Shan?
And yes, and kill everyone with kindness. That's the way.
Yeah, which is that mantra. Yeah, Chantel, that's Chantel's mantra. But that mantra seems to come out more and more when people have experienced times of challenges and have built up their resilience. Actually, to get into that place can be really, really tricky and can take time as well. So, you know, if you're not in that place yet, that's cool too. You're getting there. So. Look, Community Conversations is brought to you by Portsmouth Pride. To find out more about the work that we do, come and visit our website. It's www.portsmouthpride.org.uk, or you can get in touch with the show. Just drop Shan an email. It's Chantal, spelled CHANTALE, at portsmouthpride.org.uk. But don't worry if you didn't catch that, just drop us a line, message us on Facebook, drop us a DM. We can send you Shan's email. We'd love you to get involved, and we'd love to hear what topics and what subjects you guys want to hear and want to learn about. It's what we do. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks. We're not sure what we're going to be doing yet, and we cannot wait. We're going to get back to the drawing board. So if you have got any ideas or anything you want to be covered or to discuss, drop us a line. We'd love to know. But until then, stay safe, stay happy, and keep that conversation going. Thank you to everyone who's joined us. A massive thank you to Sab from Drag Queen Story Hour UK. And thank you, Shan, for doing all your production and all your techie bits. Now, go on, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Don't forget to share this so everyone can get involved with that community conversation. Take care. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.